At Raising Financial Freedom, we're on a mission to inspire and empower financial freedom to every parent so that they can pass it along to their children. Through engaging stories, expert advice, and actionable tips, our podcast is transforming lives and helping listeners take control of their financial futures. Your support helps us produce high-quality, impactful episodes, expand our reach to underserved communities, and keep this life-changing content free for everyone. Whether it's $5, $10, or any amount, every donation fuels our mission and makes a difference. You can donate by clicking the heart-shaped link next to the social icons or the link at the bottom of the show notes. Once again, thank you for supporting Raising Financial Freedom and joining us in creating a world where financial freedom is within everyone's reach. Together, we can make a difference.
Today on episode 20 of Raising Financial Freedom, if your child is thinking or wants to go into the military, we are going to talk about methods that would help your children set up a strong foundation when they set off to go into the military. Our guest today is J Grayson, and he's been on the Bigger Pockets podcast. Jay is here with us today to talk to the parents and let them know some of the methods and options their children will have when they choose to go into the military, which when used correctly can be very beneficial. Now, Jay did 6 years in the Marine Corps. His girlfriend at the present moment is working on 20 years in the Air Force and is looking to retire. And both have been using methods that can really help your children when they get into the military financially. So as always, I hear her calling me.
Dad, hurry up and turn on the music.
Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have it all financially? Do well-off parents simply hand their children money? Or is there more to this wealth thing? Welcome to Raising Financial Freedom, the podcast. We are here to talk about everything you never knew to teach your children when it comes to starting their financial future. The principles behind wealth and methods that are out there to teach your child about personal financial freedom. There is no real trick to earning other than learning. We are here to discuss, teach, and grow with you. Raising Financial Freedom, the podcast, with your host and concerned parent, Eric Yard. Let us get right into today's show.
Welcome to another episode of Raising Financial Freedom. Today, I would like to bring to you J Grayson. Jay, how you doing today?
Excellent, Eric. Excellent. Thank you so much for having me on. I am pretty excited about this. Glad to be here.
Tell me how the military has treated you since you've joined and left.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little bit of background. I grew up in the deep South down in Louisiana, and my father was a small-time farmer, so I grew up farming. And at around 16, 17 years old, all the talk was, go to college, get a good degree, get a good corporate job, so on and so forth. And I just wasn't quite ready for that at that time. I didn't know how that would pan out, so I decided to join the military at 18. So I actually didn't even attend my high school graduation because I was in boot camp when it happened. But it has been, to say life-changing is an understatement. I don't think I would be where I'm at today had I not joined the military. You learn a lot of things such as time management and leadership and discipline and health, nutrition, all these different things that are not necessarily financial related, but they do play into the larger picture of having a healthy and happy, successful life. So I spent just one enlistment in the military, but that one enlistment gave me opportunities that most people don't get: access to healthcare, access to free education, access to just a plethora of benefits that come from serving in the military, which is by and large probably the most bountiful set of benefits that you could get in any profession straight out of high school, especially. Currently, I have free healthcare through the VA. I was able to not only achieve my bachelor's degree, but also get my master's. I have an MBA completely free. Not only free, they also paid me a stipend while getting that education, which gave me the opportunity to, while I was getting my bachelor's, I was able to start a business and run that for 3 years. And then also working, I got back into the DOD on the civilian side, not the military side, after closing down my business, and decided to get my master's. While I was pursuing my master's while working full time, I was not only receiving the stipend plus free education, incredible the amount of the benefits, the money you can save. It really is. The benefits are just
Yeah.
bar none. Some of the best that we
So
have in our
which
society.
branch and why?
Actually, the Marine Corps, which if you asked some of my childhood friends, that would be the last branch they would think that I would join. But I had a couple buddies that were going into the Navy and another buddy that was going into the Army. And I came across the Marine Corps and I said, you know what? If I'm going to do it, I'm gonna choose the toughest branch and go all in.
To let you know that the Air Force is the best. That's the branch I went in. I did 6 also for the military.
Oh, so my significant other, she is actually just right around 2 years from finishing 20 years in the Air Force. And I tell anyone who's considering, yeah. So that's incredible. I tell anyone who asks me nowadays, hey, I'm thinking about joining the military. Which branch should I go in? I say Air Force.
Now,
the Air Force.
You said your girlfriend's about to leave. When did she join? What age did she join? And now when is she going to retire?
So she joined in her, let's say she would have been her early 20s. So she went to college for a little bit. It didn't work out so well for her. She decided to join the Air Force. She did 5 years, I believe, 5 or 6 years active duty. And then she transferred to the reserve. So she's going to be hitting her total time of 20 years about 2 years from now. So yeah, 18 years ago.
Like, what, 30 something.
Yeah, she's in her late 30s.
I also thought about it. When you do your first 6, you're at that crossroads and you think about it and should I go on or should I just stop now? And I chose the roads to stop right then and there. But if I did my full 20, I joined the military when I was 17. My parents had a sign for me. So I would have been done just before 40.
Yeah, same here. I would have been done at 38, which hindsight 2020, I don't regret leaving the military. And one of the big motivators for me of actually deciding to leave the military to go back to school was that I got out in 2009 and they had just introduced the post 9/11 GI Bill, which was a huge motivator because not only, unlike the Montgomery GI Bill, where the benefits weren't quite as great as with the post 9/11 GI Bill, where you could go to school for free, right, and then they also paid you the stipend. And that was part of the motivation.
What have you learned that someone just entering needs to be aware about when joining the military financially?
Financially, I think one of the biggest things, learn from my mistakes, please. For me, like growing up, not having a lot of money, not that we never needed for anything. There were a lot of things that I learned later from my parents. Oh, wow. Yeah, we were in dire straits a few times there, but I never really felt that because they were great parents. But one thing I did learn growing up was about personal finance. So in joining the military, I made a lot of financial mistakes. I mean, I was investing in my TSP, which is the government version of a 401k, but I wasn't diversifying the funds. Everything was going into the G fund, which is basically just government bonds, those types of things. Also, I think they're actually introducing to where it's going to be more of a target date type fund now, or a more diversified fund. So that's good. That's what you're put into when you first join. But learning just about personal finance, being able to I don't want to say take advantage of or really appreciate some of the benefits that you get. I mean, I don't know if your experience was the same, but for the most part, at least your first few years, your housing is covered, your food is covered, all the money that you have coming in that's burning that hole in your pocket, you can save that, you can invest that, you can make smart decisions with that money and not blow it on McDonald's and pizza, right, and you have free food. Just eat the free food. It's good food too, for the most part, unless you're on a Marine Corps base. If you're on an Air Force base and an Army post, yeah, you're a fort rather, like you're probably doing okay, but Marine Corps base is not so much. But
what is Mr. Money Mustache, and how did that help you even change your mindset financially? Introducing the Dollars and Cents Bundle. This isn't just another boring financial guide. It's your secret weapon for raising financially smart kids. Inside this bundle, you'll get 3 powerful tools to make money lessons a breeze. First up, a kid-friendly budget sheet. It's the perfect way to help your child track their money, build healthy habits, and get hands-on experience managing their earnings. Next, you'll unlock the guide Money Mavericks, bite-sized wisdom for busy parents. Think of it as your quick start playbook, packed with expert-backed tips to help you teach your kids about saving, spending, and everything in between. And finally, there's my favorite part, interactive digital flashcards. These are perfect for teaching core money concepts in a way that's fun, engaging, and memorable for the whole family. Here's the best part. The dollars and cents bundle is completely free. Yep, free. All you have to do is sign up and the tools are yours, delivered straight to your inbox. You owe it to your kids to give them the skills they need to succeed in life. The dollars and cents bundle makes it simple, fun, and totally doable, no matter how busy you are. So, what are you waiting for? Make financial literacy a family adventure. Head over to show notes right now to grab your free dollars and cents bundle link, or go to nurturingfinance.com and subscribe. Don't wait. Start your family's financial journey today.
Yeah, so Pete, Mr. Money Mustache, he is a financial independence blogger, if you will, or the FIRE movement. If people are not aware, it's about essentially saving and investing enough money in passive means, and generally speaking, in the broad-based index funds to where you can live off of, the dividends and interest and growth from those funds, so that work is then optional. You can leave your traditional workspace and pursue a passion project. And if it doesn't pan out, that's okay, because your basic expenses are covered through your investments. And I found out about Mr. Money Mustache probably around, I exited the military in 2009, went back to school, graduated, started my first civilian government job in 2012. And so it was probably around the 2013, 2014 timeframe that I came across Mr. Money Mustache and this whole idea. By that point, I was a little more financially equipped, if you will, or from an educational standpoint. I knew a lot more about personal finance, but finding that whole idea of financial independence just really blew my mind. Like, wow, this is actually possible. And that's when I really got on that path and really changed a lot of my spending and saving habits, so that one day that I could do the same thing and not have to depend on a government or corporate employer to fund my basic needs. And so it was a game changer. I had some debt, actually quite a bit of debt. Depending on nowadays, it doesn't seem like that much of debt. It was about, $30,000 or so, but I paid that down. I started saving money and then learned how to invest through following that financial independence structure, which differs from person to person, but the general aspect of it is the same. It's invest for the long term and so forth. I don't know if we want to get into tons of details about it, but yeah, that was my introduction to that space, was Mr. Money Mustache. And it's been quite life-changing to say the least.
Now, what is the GI Bill and how can you hack it?
So the GI Bill is essentially a benefit that, as a veteran or even if you're still in the military, it's a military benefit for serving. If you have a certain amount of time, I believe, and don't quote me on this, if you have at least 36 months of active duty time, then you qualify for the full GI Bill benefit. And that essentially, it not only allows you to go, honestly, I think probably 90% of the colleges and universities, both public and private in this country, now participate in some way, shape, or form in the what's called the Yellow Ribbon program, which is another benefit of the GI Bill. It's anything that's not covered by the standard post 9/11 GI Bill. The Yellow Ribbon program essentially is a grant by the institution to cover the difference, so that you don't have to pay any money. So what I consider GI Bill hacking, and I'll give my own personal experience with it. In my bachelor's degree, I went to a quote unquote prestigious private college in Florida, which cost about $60,000 a year, $50,000 to $60,000 a year, which is a lot, obviously. Education in general, higher level education is expensive here in this country. $50,000, $60,000 a year, I never could have dreamed of getting that type of education had I not joined the military. So not only was I able to go to that type of university for free, but they also paid me a stipend, which is based on whatever city you're located in or the university is located in, which I don't quote me on this, but it was somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 a month at that point. So it gave me enough money to live on as a college student, and also gave me enough leeway to pursue starting my own business. So after I graduated, received my bachelor's degree, and got back into the workforce after closing down my business, I decided, okay, I still have, it was over 2 years worth of benefits on my GI Bill. And I was working full time. I said, well, you know what? I'll just go to school on nights and weekends, and same type of thing. It didn't matter that I was employed. I was still able to go to, this time I went to a public university, UMass Lowell up in Massachusetts. I was living in New Hampshire at the time. And so I was able to collect my full-time salary from the government on the civilian side, and then also get a stipend for that locality. It was based off of Boston locality pay. So it was over $2,000 a month. I mean, so that's just, if you think about, you have your
Right.
job, so you're getting your salary, then you're going to school for free, and then they're paying you an additional over $2,000 a month because you're going to school. You really set yourself up with an opportunity to save and invest a lot of money. And that really boosted my path to financial independence. So it's a lot. Don't get me wrong. It was tough. It was not easy to work in 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and then also going to school full time, taking 3-4 classes during the week, nights and weekends. It was tough, but I did it year round for 2 years, knocked out my master's, exhausted my GI Bill, and pocketed a lot of money because of it. So it's a great benefit if you're willing
Yeah,
to
you have
tough
to
that
put in the
out.
work at the beginning in order for it to pay off later. So that's what you
Sure.
did. And I definitely commend you for that one. So now let's talk about house hacking. This is the fun part I wanted to talk about. What is it, and what is the top benefits of it?
Yeah, so house hacking in its most basic form is a way to reduce your housing costs. Housing costs are insane right now, and they have been for a long time. And it's usually the largest part of our budget that goes towards our expenses, right? Is that housing piece, whether it's rent, mortgage, whatever the case may be. House hacking is basically, in its most basic form, getting roommates, especially for your listeners, if they have folks that are joining the military or going to college or young in their careers, or getting to that point when you don't have family, when you don't have kids, it's okay to have roommates and cover half of that rent or half of that mortgage or more. That in its most basic form. Or you can buy a multifamily unit, whether that's a duplex or a triplex or a quad or all these multifamily units. You can live in one, rent out the others, that will hopefully at least cover most, if not all, the mortgage, and in some cases actually earn you a profit. So where you're living for free, your housing is free, and you may be even making some additional income on top of that. So it's a very, and being a landlord is, people say, oh, well, I don't want to be a landlord. You can hire management companies. You don't have to do it yourself. There's so much automation and technology and all these different things this day and age to where you can streamline that to where it's not a huge stressor on your life and really make out quite well and save a ton of money.
You definitely don't have to take on all the responsibility for yourself. So now with regular person trying to house hack, they would have to put down 20% of that home, whether it's a duplex, triplex, or quad. And that's usually the size of a home that is still considered residential. Anything past that is commercial. My question is to you, how easier is it for someone in the military now to obtain a residential house?
I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's one of the other benefits and beauties to being a veteran, is that VA home loans you don't have to pay anything down. And a lot of times there's very limited fees, if any, at times. The interest rates are much better typically than getting a traditional mortgage. For instance, for me, I bought a house when I moved to New Hampshire, and it was a 3-bedroom house. So I had additional room. I didn't need all that room. And so I got a couple roommates that were paying roughly 2/3 of the mortgage. So I was only paying 1/3 of the mortgage. So not only was I getting, my monthly expenses were lower, but in addition to that, they were also paying towards the equity in the house. And I paid zero down on that house. I didn't pay anything for it up front. So you can see where those benefits are huge. I did the same thing when I moved to Baltimore. My significant other and I, she and I just bought a house when we moved here a year and a half ago, and we're not house hacking currently. We were looking, there was just nothing in the market at the time that really, we did the cost benefit analysis, and in the area we were looking in particular, they didn't have a lot of, or hardly any, like duplexes or multifamily homes. We could take on a roommate, and we've talked about that, or Airbnb one of our spare rooms. But we haven't done that yet here. But still, we used a VA loan, didn't have to pay anything down. You may have some closing cost. I think in total, it was less than $2,000. Yeah, absolutely. And then we subsequently refinanced at a much lower interest rate, once the interest rates started dropping, and we didn't have to pay anything for that refinance. So now our mortgage is actually even lower than it was.
Hey, I just want to remind everyone that we have the question of the month still going on, and this is your chance to be on and be part of the show. Just go to raisinfinancialfreedom.com, go to the contact page, scroll down to the bottom, and you should see the question and a sample answer. Just press record to start answering the question. Now, everyone who answers the question will be automatically entered into a contest for a $25 Amazon gift card.
So huge benefits to veteran benefits and a VA loan.
And that's a good point that you was making there just now, is that you're looking to repeat this. And I want anyone listening to understand that all you have to really do is use your VA loan, get a home. And the last time I checked, you were supposed to stay in there 1 year. You stay in there 1 year, sell your unit and move on, and rinse and repeat again. And that's what you're looking to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm thinking even this time when we're pretty much, we've hit financial independence, we're going to save up some more cash over the next year or two, because we have some plans in the works to buy some land and do some different things. For us, we're in that mode of, okay, are we going to rent out our property, keep the one we're in right now and rent it out? We could rent it out for probably $300 or $400 over what the mortgage is, and do that and have some additional income coming in there. Or we could sell it. It's already appreciated quite a bit. That would, cover our mortgage and then some, even with the closing cost. You can do it either way. You can keep it and move on to the next. I think they may have, you mentioned 1 year, and I know I was approached with interest rates dropping by mortgage companies after 6 months to refinance. I don't know if you can sell after 6 months and still retain your VA.
But I mean, just moving
in the next property.
So since it's a residential home, the VA, from what I remember, it had a clause in there saying you had to live there at least a year. So all you had to do was live there a year, and then that's right. It. You could leave. You could do what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only thing I don't know is if that has dropped or if it's specific to certain areas. I don't want to speak too much to it because I'm not sure, but I think that may be as low as 6 months now, maybe not even a full year. But don't quote me on that. Do your research.
Do your research,
everyone.
But yeah, something like that is key to building generational wealth. I want people to understand that, is that with not having to put down a down payment, you have a very good chance of just being able to rinse and repeat and do this in multiple states, multiple times. And once again, real estate is a key to have in your portfolio. For me, I believe that real estate definitely helps you in your financial goals.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You need to diversify, and real estate is one of those kind of tried and true throughout, at least looking historically. If you look at a lot of wealth that's been built over the course of time, it's been in real estate. So I think real estate, obviously the market, there are tons of different avenues, and I advocate for diversify and have multiple income streams so that you're not dependent on one of them.
What I want to know is, what type of budgeting did you implement during your time in the military? Because I know it wasn't just some fly by night thing you put together. So tell me about your budgeting.
Yeah, so my budgeting while in the military, the last couple of years I did much better. My first 3 years, I wasn't used to having a steady paycheck like that and being independent and on my own. I spent a lot of my money unwisely, which is why, for parents out there, make sure you build a good, listen to this podcast, first of all, because most schools and educational institutions for our kids are not teaching them about personal finance. So listen to this podcast, learn as much as you can, and pass that on to your kids and make sure that they have a good foundational education concerning personal finance when they're joining the military, because that will set them up greatly for success. They'll be able to just be able to save, invest, do the things they need to do so that when they do transition back into quote unquote civilian life, they're going to be miles ahead most of their age group and peers at that time. But for me, it was getting to a point where I had enough financial education to say, okay, I need to make some changes. And honestly, I think it comes with cutting relentlessly. What are the things that you value? For me, I spent a lot of money on like cars and dumb stuff that are depreciating assets. And I think at one point I had 5 cars at one time while I was in the military. And you don't make a ton of money in the military. You don't have huge expenses, but you're not making a ton of money. But the delta, you can still save quite a bit of money. Don't spend it on cars. Get something that's reliable and gets you from point A to point B. But so cut till it hurts on your expenses, and then figure out, what you value. If you value whether it's whatever type of entertainment budget, okay, if there's something that you really enjoy, maybe it's your grocery budget is fairly high because you really like cooking high quality meals with the freshest ingredients and eating organic and those types of things. There's benefits to that. Spend a little more on that. But things like cars, expensive, whether it be cell phones or technologies or, things that don't bring you any added value, cut those out. With the whole vehicle thing, I've had a vehicle that's been paid off outright for years and years and years now. And I'm going to continue driving it until it just won't drive anymore, because I don't find any additional value in having a quote unquote nicer, luxurious vehicle. It doesn't do anything for me. And that's can be a huge cost factor in someone's budget. Housing, transportation. I want to live in a comfortable place that I like living in. I don't want to live in a dump necessarily. But I also, if you go talk to a mortgage company, they're going to say, oh, you qualify for X amount based on your debt to income ratio. Never go even close to that top amount, because now you're going to be what they call mortgage broke. You're going to be spending all your money on this house that you don't really need. Think about utility and then what you actually value in life when it comes to budgeting.
I feel the same way, because I believe that your house is pretty much not an asset until you either sell, and that's for an appreciating amount, or you're using part of the property or a room and renting it out to bring in some income. Other than that, where you live at, definitely can't be plunging so much money into it, which is insurance, taxes, and maintenance into it.
Yeah. If your household is 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, you don't need 6 bedrooms. It's not going to help you. You're just going to fill it with stuff that you don't need.
Hacking. And I want people who are going to go into the military to realize that, hey, this is going to help you. This will help you to eliminate one of your biggest costs that you're going to have starting off in life, which is your shelter. That's your biggest cost right off the bat. And if you could take care of that, that would help your budget out so much. It's so much you can do and so much flexibility that you will have. So you mentioned before that your girlfriend is going to retire soon. In this day and age, I'm going to ask this question now. In this day and age, it's relevant because we had a totally different time. What is a pension? And when does the military apply the pension? When do you qualify?
Yeah. Pensions are a bit of a thing of the past. So I'm glad you bring that up too. That's another huge benefit, not just to the military, but public service in general. She and I are both military veterans, and then we also work DoD civilian jobs. So she is going to qualify not only for a military pension, but also a deferred government civilian pension. So that's 2, plus probably some VA benefits as well. That really compounds, if you're active duty and you do 20 years, you can collect. They've changed the retirement system a little bit. I'm not super smart on the new system. I think you can elect one way or the other. So don't quote me on this, but traditionally you could qualify for a pension after 20 years, and you can collect that pension immediately upon retiring from the military. Immediately. Now, it's not I want to say it's around 50% of your base pay, which if you've been living well below your means is probably enough to cover you at that point. And you don't have to work anymore necessarily. Most people choose to. We are human. We want to we want to create, we want to do something. We're not going to sit around and watch Netflix all day, but that's incredible. So let's say if you join the military at 18 years old, or like you, Eric, it's 17, by 37, 38 years old, you can retire.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy is that? That you can retire. You haven't even had your first midlife crisis and you can retire. So that's pretty incredible. And then, with just general, if you're a reservist, a little bit different. You qualify at, I believe it's either 59 or 60, and the calculation's a little bit different. But even so, you do 20 years, even part-time reservist service in the military, and qualify for a pension at a somewhat normal retirement age. So for her, she's going to qualify for that retirement, plus, as long as you have at least 10 years of government service on the civilian side, then you qualify for a deferred retirement, which you can then collect it depends on your age at that time. For folks that came before us, I believe it was like 57 and a half. For us, it's 59 or 59 and a half. Again, do your research, but yeah, there's just huge benefits to public service, whether it's on the military side or
now you see the
civilian
picture we just
side.
painted. We painted a pretty picture right there for some young kid to take a direction when they join the military, to take a firm direction when they join the military. And now they know that what are the strongest benefits of joining the military financially, and how they can even stay and fine tune it in the military. So now what I want to know from you is, how did it feel when you realized you was putting this all together, when it was actually, this plan was coming together for you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy to think about when you start doing the math and looking at the numbers and thinking about the benefits and all the different things that you can utilize. For me, it was this shift of mentality between this work, go, earn, save, and really slowing down and really thinking about what you really value in life, what you want your life to look like. What are some of the things that you're passionate in? It really gives you an opportunity, if you can retire at an early age, whether it's the military or otherwise, and achieve this dream, right? This financial freedom that we speak about, Eric, and what would you do with it? And it got me soul searching on a lot of different things. And for me, my girlfriend, it's this idea of like creativity over consumption. I found myself, and this is something we need to teach our kids absolutely in such a consumer-based society, is I'm always happiest when I'm creating, whether it's building a website or podcasting or doing videography. I'm big into videography and filmmaking, those types of things. Those are things I love to do. And for me, I have the creative freedom to do that now and be happy doing that without having to worry about who's going to pay the bills, and not having to worry about all the financial stresses that come along with chasing the next paycheck and living paycheck to paycheck, all those different things. And creativity, as human beings, I think we're all creative in one way, shape, or form, right? There are things that it's better to create something than to consume something. So I think that's a valuable lesson that we can all learn, is money's one thing. It's something we all need, but it doesn't bring happiness. What brings happiness is knowing that you can pursue something without repercussion, or that stress, that financial stress. And that's a piece of it. Money's just a tool to get there.
What do you love most about the strategy you have built for yourself, and your girlfriend also, that she's built? I mean, it's unique.
Honestly, it's really doing your research. It's about simplicity, really, knowing the benefits that you have access to, utilizing them to their fullest, and then also automating things in a way to where it's not additional work for you, right? It's a process that's repeatable that you can utilize, and really just taking advantage of the tools, the benefits that you have, and automating that to the best of your ability, so that it's not an extra stressor. It just comes automatically.
What is the best piece of advice someone has ever given to you?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. Yeah, I would say, and I know this is age-old adage, if you will. My grandmother always said, pay yourself first. And I think that's, especially within this community, is very important. Make sure that you're investing in yourself, whether that's creating a savings buffer, paying down your debt, whatever the case may be, make sure that you are investing in yourself, whether it's educationally. We don't all have to, go to college or get a master's degree or whatever. You can educate yourself by go on YouTube. You can learn pretty much anything you want to do. You want to learn how to code? You can do that through YouTube. You want to learn how to fix a car? You can do that through YouTube. There's so many tools these days, but pay yourself first, invest in yourself, because it's going to pay off larger than pretty much any other investment that you can make.
What would you tell that young adult who's just about to step on that bus to go away to boot camp?
That boot camp is a short-term thing. I know it's scary as heck. I was scared as I could be as I went to Paris Island. It's just the beginning. Don't worry about boot camp. Worry about what you're going to do once you actually enter your working life in the military, and focus on that, and focus on what you can potentially achieve and accomplish. And don't get caught up in the moment of whether it's you're doing 6 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever the boot camp is, 3 months for the Marine Corps. That's a short-term thing. It's going to be painful, but it's just a glimpse. It is a blip. Get through it, move past it, and focus on your.
What is the one thing people don't realize about the military?
That it's not as, maybe not in the Marine Corps, but, it's not as crazy as people think. The Marine Corps is pretty hardcore. It's different, takes a different breed, if you will, depending on which job field you're in. You can live you're not under the thumb of the government like some people may think. People aren't telling you every single step that you take and really controlling your life to some crazy degree, especially in the Air Force. Oh my goodness, it's incredible. Yes, you put on a uniform, but these folks are out there, they're drone pilots or actual pilots, or they're doing, intel work, or they're doing crazy cyber security stuff. And it's more normal, especially this day and age. I feel like it's more normal than it used to be. It's not, I say normal, but normal in terms of, in comparison to a job with any company out there. You have certain traditions, which are good, and you have certain differences there. But by and large, your lifestyle is not going to be drastically different than it would be working for, insert company ABC here. It's really, I think people fear that control aspect or losing some independence. And I think that's a bit of a farce, especially this day and age.
If you was to do it all over again, what is the first thing you would do?
Oh man, you've got some tough ones. Hindsight 2020, I don't know. I would consider staying for 20 years. But then again, I don't know if I would have found financial independence. I don't know if I'd be living the life that I am today had I done that. So it's easy to say, oh yeah, you could have that pension. For me, if anything, I wish I would have learned about just personal finance in general at a much younger age, because I could have been so much further ahead, so much sooner, had I known just some key basic concepts about compound interest, about, what it means to pay yourself first and actually go and execute to that. There's some of just the basics about how consumption isn't going to make you happy, and how creativity can really drive happiness in your life. Some of those things I wish I had known and really implemented earlier. But hey, you know what? I'm happy where I'm at, and life unfolds sometimes, and I think I've been able to do the best that I can with the knowledge
Jay,
that I have.
That sounds good. You did the best, right? Jay,
It's all we can do, Eric.
Jay, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Let us know where we could find out what you got going on next, how we could reach you. No.
Yeah, sure. So I have fedonfire.com is a website that my significant other that we created a while back. We haven't been too active in that, honestly, because right when we kicked that off, we ended up changing jobs and having to move apartments and then move cities, and it fell to the wayside. It's something we want to continue doing into the future, but we have a project now that we're working on. It's actually called Folly to Freedom, FOLY to Freedom. It is still in the works. It is a podcast. And we're pretty excited about it. We have some things already in the works, and a lot of the episodes planned out. I can send you a link. It's a little bit of weird of a link. I can send you a link that maybe you can put in the show notes to where people can go and check that out once content does come out. The website is still in building phase. So, but yeah, there's a little bit of financial independence, location independence, but just all kinds of different alternative living styles, minimalism and homesteading, and this whole idea of creativity over consumption and that type of stuff. So it's a little bit of a mix of things, but I think the point is to drive towards just living an intentional life and trying to be happy.
Jay, once again, Thank you for coming out on the show.
Hey, Eric, thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast. Hey.
I just want to thank Jay one more time for coming on the show and sharing all that good information with us. Now, what I've taken out of our discussion is that no matter if you want to be a painter, professional poet, a doctor, fireman, or be in the military, you need to become financially literate and do research to know the ins and out financially to that profession that you're looking to get into. If your child is going to get paid for their career, help them start off financially correct and learn the ins and out to the profession that they're looking to get into. Like always, here at Raising Financial Freedom, we would like for you to share with other parents. That will really help out our cause and spread the message worldwide. Until next week, stay safe.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Raising Financial Freedom, the podcast. Stay connected with us directly through raisingfinancialfreedom.com. You can also join the discussion on social media, which you can also find links on our website. If you would like to speak with us, please send us an email through info@raisingfinancialfreedom.com. And as always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to please like and subscribe to stay fully up to date. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
Before you go, I wanted to tell you about a new option called Fan Mail, which uses text messaging to give our listeners the ability to text our show directly. There is a link in every episode at the top that will say, "Send us a text." You can use that link to text the show. When a listener clicks the link in our episode description, a new text message will open on your device directly to the show. It's that easy. So tell me what you think, what else you want to hear out of the show, or simply your thoughts on that episode you just heard.